Okay, thanks everyone for joining today's webinar on life insurance, hosted by your financial advisor, Carl Grund. Our panelists today are Ben Basile from Crump Life Insurance and Anthony Hemmick, who is also an advisor at Signature Financial Partners. Ben has been a regional director for Crump since 2005, and his focus is on assisting financial professionals navigating the complex world of insurance. So first, we're going to have Ben go over his presentation, Life Insurance, an Essential Asset Class for All of Life Stages, followed by Anthony, who will give deeper insight into what he's seeing in today's market, and then a Q&A led by Carl.
Thank you, Emily. And thank you, Carl, for having me today. I appreciate the opportunity. So yes, I do work on some complex life insurance cases and situations, but for today's purpose or today's discussion, we're going to keep it a little bit simple. And we're going to be talking about utilizing life insurance as an asset class inside of your portfolio that can actually help you with the various stages of your life. So we're going to go over a couple of ideas that are pretty simple in nature, and then we'll open it up to questioning at the end. So for starters, I'd like to ask a couple quick questions. Do you have any of these concerns? That number one, your only retirement will be what's in your 401k or what you've been able to save in your 401k. Do you have concerns that market corrections could derail your retirement funds or change the trajectory of your retirement? What about future tax rate increases and then wiping out the savings that you have or really taking a bite out of the income that you're making? And there's always long-term care, which means we're living longer these days due to medical advancements. You know, we're living into our longer ages, later ages. And as we get older, sometimes we need some assistance, and that could actually put a real strain on our retirement funds. And at the end of the day, wouldn't we all love to leave a legacy to our kids, our grandkids, and hopefully those generations? So if you said yes to any of these things, we're going to show you how you can incorporate using some life insurance as part of your asset classes. So first off, we're going to consider using the cash value of life insurance as an equity hedge strategy. What does that mean? Well, an equity hedge in simple is taking tax-free income from your life insurance years following a downturn in the equities market, which will effectively allow your equities time to repair, and then ultimately you're avoiding selling into losses, and that will help your investment assets last longer and grow more during your retirement. I'm going to show you an example of what that looks like. So in this example here, we have a gentleman that has accumulated $1 million in his 401k through his working years. It's time for him to retire at age 65. And through the help of his advisor, they decide to take out a 7% withdrawal rate. You see that number, $70,000, which is a little aggressive for most advisors, but we're going to go ahead with 7% withdrawal rate because he believes that the market long-term will perform for him. And that $70,000 of income is increased a little bit each year to account for inflation. Now, what we did for this example is we used a real 20-year period in time. That's 1973 to 1993. The reason we chose 73 to 93 in this example is that there was a negative sequence of returns, meaning the first 2 years of retirement were negative, which causes a trajectory or downward trajectory going forward. So in this example, we start our income and we go on for 20 years of withdrawals. After 20 years of withdrawals, at the end of the 20-year period, there's still $444,000 in this gentleman's retirement account, which is actually a very powerful story for the market, the long-term ability of the market to work for you and repair itself to some degree. But at age 85, our client is not completely out of the woods. At age 85, there still could be a good 15, 20 years of life expectancy, and some more downturns in the market could eradicate it, or some long-term care need. You need some assistance, some extra assistance. It could really eradicate the remaining 444. So what do? We make one minor change. And this is where the equity hedge strategy comes into play. So we couple the same design of withdrawing money from your 401k to live on, but we add one thing. We add a life insurance contract that's sitting here on the side that you've accumulated some cash value in. And every year there's a downturn in the market, the following year, we don't take any money out. Now, obviously, we can't predict market losses, but we do know if the market was negative last year. So we don't have to take a withdrawal. So in this scenario, we don't take any withdrawals following a downturn in the market. There was only 5 times that happened over a 20-year period. So in total, we withdrew $265,000 from our life insurance. You might ask, why is that $50,000 and not $70,000? Well, we're going to get into this a little bit more as we go along, but life insurance is always tax-free when you take the money out. So we don't need to withdraw 70, which is taxable from your 401k. We only needed 50, which is tax-free from your life insurance. In total, we took out $265,000 from our life insurance contract, and we let the market repair in those negative years. And at the end of our 20-year period in time, we have a $3.5 million balance in our 401k. So effectively, using $265,000 of life insurance allowed you to yield $3.142 million additional out of your 401k. That's an equity hedge strategy at its best. I'm going to show you another opportunity that might present itself to you. It could be that you don't need so much equity hedge, or it could be that you've used a little equity hedging, but as you ramp up, your income is increasing and you're more concerned about tax rates and what tax rate you might be falling into or being pushed into. So consider using life insurance as a tax hedge strategy. And that strategy, what you're doing is you're taking some of your income from your retirement accounts, some of your income from your taxable accounts, and some of your income from your tax advantages life insurance account. And what that does is it overall can increase your total income stream. And I'll show you how that looks. Before I show you an example of that real quick, I'm going to point out to you that there's really only 3 categories in which we can save money today. And that's for everybody. The first category is pre-tax. That's your 401k or an IRA or a profit sharing plan. But qualified accounts are using tax deferred dollars or pre-tax dollars. So you're not taxed every year on your income. It gets to go into an account and grow tax deferred, tax free. And then in retirement, it's fully taxable coming out. So what we call that is taxing the harvest, not the seed. Now there's advantages, company matches, stuff like that. So you always want to make sure you're taking advantage of your pre-tax dollars. But there are limitations on it. There's, how much money you can take out before 59 and a half without penalties. And then by the time you're 72, you must start taking money out. So there's some parameters and constraints. The next group is taxable. And the taxable products are your stocks, your bonds, your home, any investments, even your savings account. Every year you get a little 1099. You go and report that on your taxes and you pay a little tax. So it carries an anchor of tax every year. But the advantage is that it's completely liquid. It's completely, yours to use at any moment in time. The last category is the least understood, and that's the tax advantaged category. There are really only 3 things in this category, and they are Roth IRAs, triple tax-free municipal bonds, and cash value life insurance. So what happens with tax advantaged is you are taxed on your income. You take some of your after-tax money, you invest it, it grows tax deferred, and then you get to take it out tax-free. So we call this taxing the seed, not the harvest. That's why so many people are in favor of Roth IRAs. But the problem with the Roth IRAs is that there's a lot of limitations. If you make too much income, you can't contribute to them. If you don't make too much income, there's only so much you can put into it every year. Whereas life insurance doesn't have those parameters. So now I'm going to show you a quick example of what it looks like to diversify your income stream. So in a typical strategy, a client might go through their life, put away money in their 401k, then start taking income out of their 401k as soon as they retire. So they take $120,000 from their 401k, and they're going to net $78,000 of taxable of income after taxes are taken out. That's assuming a 35% tax bracket. Well, Under the diversified strategy, what you're doing is you're taking a little from a 401k, a little bit from capital gains or from your current accounts, and a little bit from your tax advantage life insurance. And effectively, you're increasing your yield to $100,000 of total income, or that's an additional $22,000 of income on an annual basis. So if taxes is bigger concern for you, then utilizing a tax hedge might be the appropriate usage of your life insurance asset class. But as we get older, we get into another phase of our life, another stage of our retirement. And that's as we're getting into the older ages of retirement, we might run into a long-term care situation where we might need somebody to come and give us a little assistance, or lend a helping hand at home, or maybe even move to an assisted facility. But by tapping into life insurance, you can get tax-free benefit on a monthly basis to help defray the cost of your long-term care or extended care needs. Most contracts will allow you to take either 2 or 4% of the face amount of the contract in cash on a monthly basis for any of your needs. So a quick example of what that would look like would be, let's say you had a $500,000 contract, same example that we've been using all along, same $500,000 contract. Well, if you needed long-term care and you needed help, we could start accessing up to $120,000 of tax-free cash coming into the household for 4.2 years. That would help defray the ongoing expense of long-term care. And it's quite expensive if you've had a loved one that you've helped or assist. You know how fast that money can go. So what this does is it further helps to insulate that 401k that we so aggressively protected in the early stages of retirement. It helps to make that last longer by using this first. And if you have not had to use it or finish, your life insurance contract or extinguish it on any of those other needs, the money that you saved, the money that you put away as this asset class is now a potential legacy. So everything that you've put money towards is not for naught. It will go to your family. It will go tax-free. So you can potentially leave them a legacy. All these hedging strategies that we just went over real quickly, they can all be accessed income tax-free. So we like to say pay tax on the seed, not the harvest. I'm going to give you one last thought before we go, that the tax exemption for life insurance is the single biggest benefit in the tax code. You can look it up. Make it a part of your retirement savings portfolio. There's a gentleman by the name of Ed Slott. Very interesting read or listen to if you ever get the opportunity, but he's a very big proponent. He's not in our world, he's an accountant, but he's a big proponent of the tax advantages of life insurance. So that's really all I wanted to kind of highlight today, Carl, and thank you for your time.
Thanks, Ben. And yeah, I'll highlight Ed, for example, too. Ed is considered one of the premier kind of tax advisors specifically to the IRA space. So when he's thinking about the value of life insurance, I think that really says a lot.